Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome around the globe to Kangen Water Radio, featuring the Kangen Water Health and Information International Call, where we consider, clarify, and often correct the conventional wisdom around Kangen water technology, the different machines, the science behind water types, uses, and benefits, the testing process, the maintenance and cleaning of the machines, and much, much more. We also explore a plethora of other topics as we promote and discuss the three-pronged approach to health and wellness: hydration, detoxification, and complete macro and micronutrition. I'm family physician Dr. Lisa Battle Singletary, your virtual keto coach, and I'll be joined by my co-host and fearless leader, Mr. Terrence Hope, an Adject 6A distributor extraordinaire, and together we bring you the best of both worlds. Wow, this is call number 413. It's August the 4th. Can you believe it? We are just chugging along this year. I can hardly believe it. But right in this moment, I'm very happy to be here with you. So 413, we are talking about the mighty macrophage today. Now, I don't know if you've heard of macrophages before, but the word macrophage, macro means big, and phage means eater. So it's a big eater. It's one of the phagocytes. That's another way. Phago means to eat, and cyte is cell. So it's one of the cells in the blood and in the tissues that eat things. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the macrophage. The macrophage really, I can't cover in one day. But so maybe there'll be a part 2 Saturday. Maybe there'll be a part 2 next Wednesday. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what's in the news. Actually, this came up because of a news article. I don't know if I'll find the article and put it into the show resources. But based on that article, I wanted to introduce you to macrophages. So maybe we'll do the actual article another time. But these little cells, well, they're big cells, right? Macro, have quite a story to tell about their functions in the bloodstream and all over the body. Okay, so I have a little PowerPoint, I think. Let me see. I was certainly working on one, but I have to share my screen. Let's see, which PowerPoint? There it is. Okay, so meet the mighty macrophage. Oh, I need to make this prettier, but you'll get the idea. The mighty macrophage, the big eater of the immune system. So we talked about how skin heals. So you might see this and recognize this from prior when we talked about the immune system, the good, bad, and ugly. Well, part of the immune system is the inflammatory system, inflammation, good, bad, and ugly. And inflammation has a role in healing our tissues, our bones, our nerves. And so we've seen a picture like this. This is the epidermis. This is the top layer of skin. This is the basal layer. This is where our pigment is. This is where the cells get stimulated by vitamin D. So the sunlight has to get through our skin to this layer. But here was an injury, and these cells are coming to the rescue. And here a couple of words. Here's a word we haven't talked about, but chemotaxis means that these first cells, there's some of these cells that just migrate around all the time. And these first cells on the scene, they send out chemical messengers and bring other cells to come. And basically they say, here's the action. We need you. We need help here. All points, danger, warning. And when that tissue is injured, bacteria can get in, right? So they're little microbes here. So these cells are going to eat the microbes. They're going to send out signals for more cells to come, and they're going to start the healing process to build up the granulation tissue. I didn't talk about granulation tissue, but you know, when you have a ingrown, what do you call it, a hangnail, and your mom told you not to pull them out, right? But you pull one out anyway, and a couple days later, it's puffy. The tissue is like there's a little blob of tissue there that's puffy, and it's still tender, but it's not a clot, right? But it's definitely flesh, but it looks different. It's not the same as the before your injury. That's called granulation tissue. That's an intermediate stage of the healing. And then over time, right, when the immune system takes away all the debris and all the extra cells that have come in and all the bacteria that have been destroyed and the cells that have been destroyed, all the extra components are taken away, and the skin begins to really heal, the final healing stages. Well, one of those cells that's involved is called the macrophage. And I want to show you how they evolve in the body. So all of our cells start from stem cells. And you hear stem cells all the time, right? In the news. Well, there's stem cells that are here at the top of this page, pluripotent. That means these cells can become anything. And that's one of the reasons that doing research on stem cells, on embryonic stem cells, is so controversial, because you really don't know what you're going to get. But your tissues have differentiated. And so once they're differentiated, those stem cells, they're still stem cells, but they are stem cells for the particular tissue. So your muscle stem cells or your myeloid stem cells will make muscle tissue. Your neuro stem cells will make neural tissue, neuronal tissue, etc. So this pluripotent stem cell at the top of the page is a pluripotent blood stem cell. All of our blood cells come from this stem cell, and it differentiates either into the myeloid line or the lymphoid line. The myeloid line makes eventually red blood cells, platelets, eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils. The lymphoid line, there's a subset of the myeloid line also that makes myeloblasts and monoblasts. I'm sorry, neutrophils and monocytes. All right, the lymphoid line makes your T lymphocytes, your B lymphocytes, and my favorite cell name of any cell, don't tell Ernie the erythrocyte, but I love the name, the natural killer cells. I just love that name. Scientists do have a sense of humor sometimes. So the monocytes become, when they're activated, macrophages. They're the big eaters. And I mean, if you look at the size, the relative size, this isn't exact, but it does give you an idea. The monocytes are the largest cells relatively depicted in this lineup. But the macrophages are even bigger. So just another aside, the B lymphocytes, when they're stimulated, become plasma cells. And the plasma cells are the cells that pump out antibodies. So all of these cells work together to get our immune system functioning either internally to repair injuries, uh, to chew up abnormal cells because of free radical electrons bouncing around, or externally when there's been an invader and they have to mount a defense against an invading bacteria or virus or parasite or whatever the case may be. So that's our defense system. They do other things actually as well, but we're talking about just the macrophage today. Now, this is a general depiction of a phagocyte. So this is just one of the eater cells. This isn't a macrophage per se, but it just gives you an idea of the process. The chemotaxis draws macrophages to the area. So there's got to be a warning sent out. So there are cells on patrol all the time. And when a microbe appears, they send out the warning and they bring in recruits. That's the chemotaxis. Then adherence, once they're in the area of the microbe sticks to the phagocyte, and the phagocyte actually engulfs it. So that's called ingestion. These fingers actually come around, build up around the phagocyte that's now stuck there, and makes a vacuole or a vesicle, and takes it into the cell and destroys it in the cell by bringing in lysosomes. Now, lyse means to split, right? So these are vesicles inside a cell, and their function is to hold the enzymes that will break stuff down. So if the cell organelles are starting to deteriorate or to die, the lysosomes will take care of that internally. But if the cell brings in an invader from the outside, then the lysosomes will take care of that too. So it attaches to this vesicle, and the lysosomal enzymes break down what's inside. That's the digestion phase, and then it kills what's inside. And eventually that vesicle will come back to the surface and expel the contents. Now that's going to be carried away by another phagocyte. But it's just fascinating to me how all of this goes on. We have no idea what's going on, but it's all happening behind the scenes without our conscious effort. It's amazing. So this is a scanning electron micrograph of a phagocyte actually ingesting a microbe. Amazing. Okay. So this took me to an article that I know, Mr. Hope, it's gonna knock your socks off. I just know. And this article, let me see if I can find it, is about macrophage, but is about macrophage plasticity. Now, what is plasticity? That means it's the ability to change, the ability to adapt. And so what I was looking for was cells that can increase the inflammatory response as well as decrease the inflammatory response. And the macrophage, as it turns out, can be both. So macrophage plasticity, that means they can morph, they can change, they can be redirected into being pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. And one of the things that does that is Curcumin. So I was just, I just was completely geeked out over this article. So I'm going to give you some details of this because I think this is amazing. Here's the abstract, and I will put this entire article in the call resources. So when you go to YouTube and search Kangen Water Radio, a little later on today, this call will come up about, meet the macrophage. And when you go to the description box, all the links will be there for the articles or resources that I use for this call. Okay, here we go. Here's the abstract. Monocytes and macrophages are important cells of the innate immune system. That means you're born with them. That have diverse functions, including defense against invading pathogens, removal of dead cells by phagocytosis, that's that eating process we saw, phago eating, cytosis, that's the cell eating the dead cells. Antigen presentation, that's another thing. That's going to take another call because that's amazing. In the context of the MHC class, blah, 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 and production of various pro-inflammatory cytokines and chemokines, such as all these names. In addition, okay, here we go. Pro-inflammatory or M1 macrophages and anti-inflammatory or M2 macrophages clearly play important roles in the progression of several inflammatory diseases. Therefore, therapies that target macrophage polarization, that means they go from resting to being M1 or M2. So therapies that target macrophage polarization and function by either blocking their trafficking to sites of inflammation or skewing M1 to M2 phenotype, that means what their function is, may hold clinical promise in several inflammatory diseases. Dietary derived polyphenols, those are chemicals in our food, plants particularly, have potent natural antioxidant properties. We know that, right? There's so many superfoods, super juices that are antioxidants. Within this group of polyphenols, curcumin has been shown to suppress the macrophage inflammatory responses. Hello. Curcumin significantly reduces co-stimulatory molecules and also inhibits MAPK activation, blah, 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 blah. Curcumin can also polarize or repolarize macrophages towards the M2 phenotype. So curcumin-treated macrophages have been shown to be highly efficient at antigen capture. That means capturing the bad guys. Endocytosis, that's taking in engulfing the bad guys via the mannose receptor. These novel findings provide new perspectives for the understanding of the immunopharmacological role of the precise effects of curcumin. Sorry, I skipped the line. The immunopharmacological role of curcumin, as well as its therapeutic potential for impacting macrophage polarization and function in the context of inflammation-related disease. However, the precise effects of curcumin on the migration, differentiation, polarization, and immunostimulatory functions of the macrophages remain unknown. Therefore, in this review, we summarize whether curcumin can influence macrophage polarization, surface molecule expression, cytokine and chemokine production, and their underlying pathways in the prevention of inflammatory diseases. Woo! So, am I saying that curcumin is antioxidant has antioxidant properties and anti-inflammatory properties. I don't have to say it. They're saying it. All right, so I had a picture up. Let me scroll down to it. From this article, I think it's on, yeah, here it comes. So we have a resting macrophage, and there's something happening in the body, and under the influence of curcumin, the macrophage can either become M1 or M, which is pro-inflammatory, or M2, which is anti-inflammatory, and it can decrease the macrophage's transit, or it can tilt the percentage or the ratio of macrophages to anti-inflammatory, tissue repair, wound healing, cancer promotion. I don't know what that means. I have to look at that one, but its role in cancer. It seems, just looking at this, that there's a balance, because the M1s in their pro-inflammatory state are also anti-cancer. And I think we did see this in a prior article. So the body, the scientists can't figure out how this works and what actually tilts the balance, but the body does. So while the scientists figure out how this all works in detail, I'm going to tell you, take your curcumin. And so that's my introduction to the mighty macrophage. And what we'll do in the future is I'm going to show you that piece they talked about, antigen presentation. Like, one of the things that the macrophage does when it engulfs a foreign bacteria, it's amazing, but it actually helps your body to identify the, and this is part of the specific immune response, it helps to identify that pathogen. And the next time your body sees it, whammo, it's ready to just smack it out. So I'm sorry, I'm so excited, but I'm excited not just for macrophages. I'm also excited because we're going to be joined today by my co-host and fearless leader, Mr. Terrence Hope, Enagic 6A distributor extraordinaire, the persistent, consistent, vigilant health advocate and health influencer to the stars and to the globe. Are you with me, Mr. Hope?
Dr. Singletary, yes, indeed, I am.
Ooh.
And bells are ringing. And I can tell you, I really enjoy this content today. This is really very exciting for me. Now, maybe I'm becoming a nerd too. Where the excitement comes from things like the word macrophage and
I
NK
know,
cells.
even as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, am I really saying how excited I am about a macrophage? But
I am as well. It's one of the things that actually caught my attention in my years in working in a science environment, where I saw multiple hundreds of science research presentations in biochemistry and biology and different things. And then what caught my attention at one point was the macrophage, the Pac-Man. So I used to call it, I don't know if I ever call it, but I thought of it as that, that's going around chomping things up. I thought to myself, how grand is that? That something is out there that just can chew things up. And I really love biology. I love biochemistry. I love the details of the body that otherwise people may not have seen, and I am in a grateful appreciation of these weekly classes that you are providing, that we can see the details of the body, things we didn't understand before. You know, we go, I mentioned last time that we go to a doctor and they ask you how you feel. Yeah. Open your mouth, say, ah, look in your eyes, look in your ears. Okay, what's going on? Okay, what's going on, right? You know, and then they might order some tests based on what you're saying, or they might come to off the cuff, you know, conclusion. Okay, we think this is going on. I'll prescribe this medication, but they don't understand. They don't explain the processes. You know, so you're explaining the processes. We can see it. We can, you know, and because we got more detail. And then when you bring up some of the clinical trial references, it shows us that, you know, other scientists have looked at it and understand, you know, of course, the mechanism, they understand the science of it, but also some approaches to promote it, to enhance it, to strengthen it. As you mentioned, curcumin has been studied, and
Ding, ding, ding,
details
ding, ding.
of how that helps with the anti-inflammatory effect that may, you know, go on with your immune response, part of which is very important, very necessary as part of the response. At times can become a bit excessive depending on the situations going on. And, you know, as the kids like to say to adults, you're doing too much, you're doing too much, or calm yourself down, yeah? Or, you know, it'll be all right. You know, to tell the macrophage, the NK cells, which are the, you know, when you said NK cells and natural killer cells in your face, I was like, yeah, me too, but I was muted. You know, the macrophage, the NK cells, which are the natural killer cells, to let them
Polymorphonucleocytes.
say that word again?
Polymorphonucleocytes.
Polymorphonucleocytes, you know, and that, you know, they go out there gangbusters and they regulate themselves as well, fine enough. But every so often, things can get, you know, blown out of proportion, and someone needs to grab them reins. Okay, whoa now, whoa Nelly, whoa, okay, good guy, okay, good job, you know.
Exactly.
So, so I'm thankful to see these things in details. And, you know, oftentimes in our presentation, things are always going on in the daytime. I may have other things I've got to be looking at, you know, calls that are coming in, things I got to respond to while we're doing the presentation. And it bothers me that sometimes I'm not giving my full attention, you know, but I, you know, to each, and I know I got to go back. I got to go back and watch that YouTube so I can really study that, you know. It's like, what if I could block everything out and just focus? I would get it the first time. I seem to be a relatively quick learner, you know. So, but I enjoyed this today. As I enjoyed the last one you did with the skin, showing how the skin heals and which part hit. And I mean, I understand why people come here week in and week out. You know, we're getting schooled, you know, which is a derogatory term to get schooled, but we're definitely getting schooled. We're getting our information that we need as we would in school. And so I appreciate that. Dr. Lisa Singletary, MD, board certified resident medical professional, who gives us all that we need to understand that much more about our health, and point us into directions that can give us opportunities for more research, understand ourselves better and understand health equations.
Yeah, you know, I think that article came out in 2019, like relatively new, but I mean, they've been studying curcumin for decades, for scores, but it was just such a gem to find, you know, and it's not just an article with 22 points, but it's a review article. So it has reviewed multiple research, prior research, you know.
Well, I can tell you from firsthand knowledge that curcumin, what else do we call that? Turmeric, is of course studied in science. Of course, it's a record in clinical trials in our scholarly papers and PubMed.gov, of course, and so forth. But it's also actively presented in our leading research centers around the country. I personally was present at a presentation on turmeric and curcumin and its anti-cancer effects that was held at the National Institutes of Health. Now, these natural approaches can be reviewed. They can go into clinical trial. They can have all their documentation in place. Their I's dotted and T's crossed. And then it just becomes a question of whether it makes the jump from, okay, here's the evidence, everything's good to go, to actually being used in medical practice.
Yeah.
And as they say, being used at the bedside. And oftentimes that's the issue. Yeah, there are some very highly decorated research scientists, even at the National Institutes of Health, who speak very specifically about natural approaches to things like cancer, things like muscular dystrophy, have been awarded, decorated, have entire displays covering entire sections of conference centers and theaters on plaques and everything, but you ever find it spoken about by this actual, science, the clinical science researchers on cancer or any other subject, nor used. But it's good to know it's available and it's actually effective.
Well, we don't know when we recommend Ucan to people, for instance, is it take five a day, or 5 in the morning, 5 at night, or 5 3 times. I don't, whatever the need. I just love it that we can put a little more oomph behind, that recommendation, that it's not just, it's going to be a leap of faith for the people that we recommend it for, and it's going to be a little leap of faith for us, because do we really know why these little things have any effect in the body? So I love being able to bring something to the call that really taps into, and can, I guess, shore up or validate this thought that, maybe there's something here. And, I if the scientists can't explain it, I can't explain it, but they've proven that these relationships exist. And there's, as Dr. Glidden, I think, refers to, I think it's pharmacist Ben Fuchs, refers to an intelligence in the body. We're designed, and we are, as you have said many times, Mr. Hope, we are healing machines. But any machine needs certain things. It needs fuel, it needs oil, it needs, maintenance. And so I don't know how the lamp works, but if I got a good light bulb in there and it's plugged in, I know if I turn this switch, I'm going to get some light.
Sure enough.
So.
And speaking of walking into the light, I'll just share just a few pages here on Kangen water and what it is. So just reminding everyone, so you can always remind your family and friends that Kangen water, here on the Kangen Water Health and Information Call on Kangen Water Radio, is, and whoops, where am I still here? I feel like I disappeared.
You are here.
There we go. Kangen water is what's known as an electrolyzed reduced water. And it's produced in a process known as electrolysis. My computer's going through this.
Uh-oh.
It's
okay, I see your screen.
It's okay. I think I'm making the adjustment now. There we are. So this is one of the examples of our Kangen water machines called the ST501. Our machines produce 7 different levels of water. Kangen water 8.5, 9.0, 9.5 for hydration and detoxification. Clean water, which is a neutral pH water. Acid water, also known as a beauty water. strong Kangen water, which is 11.5 water for detoxing foods and fruits and vegetables by soaking them in the water. Strong acid water, which is a 2.5 pH water. It's designed to kill bacteria, viruses, mold, to sterilize surfaces. Excellent to use, great to have. This is our K8 machine. It's our 8-plate unit, our top of the line unit these days. And here's the Platinum SD501. All of these are different versions of our Kangen water machines. Highly recommended to use. Change your water, change your life. Lightning hits our water, does it really? Electricity in our machines is hitting water directly, and it's causing a conversion, a restructuring of the water molecules that are producing antioxidant ions. H2O is water. You hit that with electricity, kapow, and that water will divide into segments. Here's your H2O dividing into elements of OH negative and H plus, derived from the actual OH2, the H2O. So molecule. This is one of the molecules involved in the measurement of the antioxidant effect within our water. Here's the entire sequence of events that's occurring where water, H2O, is hit by lightning. It's converted and broken down into its segments, and then becomes restructured in our water. One of the elements called hydroxide ions, OH negative, is a measuring tool for the overall antioxidants presence in our water at a time. This is an ORP meter, oxidative reduction potential meter. When you have a high volume of antioxidant ions within the water, it'll be measured in millivolts. If you have a negative charge on this meter, it means you've got an antioxidant effect. And that's what our Kangen water machines produce. This is our ORP meter chart showing you things in the negative range as opposed to things in the positive range. Things in the negative range have an antioxidant effect, like Kangen water. Things in the positive range don't have an antioxidant effect. Instead, they have got an oxidizing effect, like soda, tap water, reverse osmosis water, distilled waters. Some of the bottled waters that are called purified are more oxidizing because of the way they're stored and produced. But the negative charge is found with things that are antioxidant, like vitamin C, green tea, and topping our list, of course, is Kangen water. The process of electrolysis, where electricity hits water, is where our water is produced and converted into an antioxidant water. There's a pH range going from 0 to 14 on our machines. Neutral is green in the center. Blue, light, dark blue, and purple are the alkaline levels of 8.5, 9.0, 9.5. And below that, the yellow and the orange represent the acidic levels. As Dr. Singletary is talking about the macrophage and the natural killer cells and the body's natural antioxidant, self-healing ability, I always like to point to the animals in the wild, because while the humans have been plagued with and assaulted by toxins and chemical pollution from our food to our water to our beverages, we experience many chronic illnesses and organ dysfunction because of that. But while that's always going on amongst the human population, you can always look out at the animal population that lives in the wild and whose nutrition is not being assaulted. Our parks in the United States, the jungles in Africa, primarily are not farmed, and there's not a lot of human activity in there. So when the animals go about frolicking and eating, they're eating in a ecological system that's highly organic, chemical-free, and mineral-rich. And in that environment, they're getting all the nutrition their body needs without the distraction of chemicals and chemical contaminants. And that's why their bodies are in the state that they are. Notice that they all, of each species, are the exact same size. There's no variation. There's no some deer are obese, some are really skinny, some are in the middle. Some foxes are big, some foxes are small. They're all the same size because the body is designed to be a certain way based upon what you're eating. They're eating what their body is designed to have. Humans are not. If there's a scratch on the finger, cut on the finger, as Dr. Singletary showed in some of her earlier slides in recent presentations, the body will heal itself. We're aware of that because we experience it as children, and of course, as we grow up. If there's a fracture that's deep in the bone or a full break, we put a cast in the bone to keep it still, so that as it heals itself, it heals quite evenly. And this will occur right down to the cellular level, as well as on the surface of the skin down to the depths of the bones, as long as your body has full nutrition, detoxification, and hydration. So if you're in this kind of ecological system where you're, eating from the land, your fruits and vegetables, your produce is highly mineral rich, your protein is unencumbered by chemical contamination, your body will do well. As you notice, some people in more tropical environments who live more closer to the land tend to be healthier and live longer. Our body has to detox to be healthy, and having an antioxidant water like Kangen can provide that. So I'll just pause there. Just want to give you a quick overview about the Kangen water machines today, as we talk about your immune system, healing, self-healing, and today we went into the macrophage and all those things that allow your immune system to work properly. Dr. Singletary, you mentioned at the end of your talk something about a cell after having dealt with a particular invader that is dangerous. Later on, if it ever sees it again, being quicker to respond to it. Is there a sense of what speed of time there is?
Oh, yeah.
When the immune system, the macrophage, the natural killer cells, the NK cells, can on first introduction deal swiftly with an issue? And what is it that might make that response slower?
Actually, the first response, there are, that's going to be the next topic. That's going to be the next talk, because, or maybe next Wednesday, what actually happens once that invader is engulfed and the macrophage presents pieces of that invader to other cells in the immune system to activate them, and they create specific defenses to that particular invader. And so that's the first time the factory is built to pump out the or to make the antibodies, the specific weapons against that invader.
So the immune system is building an infrastructure.
Absolutely.
When it's introduced to something brand new. So we see it now. I'm aware that the immune system can also trap foreign invaders. And I'm wondering, and it's called vacuoling, I recall. You wrap something.
Well, that was the picture I showed, yeah.
In mucus, so that, okay,
oh, you're
we
talking
might
about
not
mucus.
have,
okay.
What was that?
I said, you're talking about mucus. That's a different
thing.
Yeah.
But to be able to, let's say the immune system has, the immune system has a new invader. The body has a new invader. Does the immune system always have to build a new infrastructure for it? Or does it say, okay, you're new, let me trap you? And
the first responder, and like I said, I'll go into this more on the next call, but the first responders are more general. Like they know, okay, that doesn't belong.
You don't belong here. They know that this doesn't belong here.
And they, they sound the alarm, bring the phagocytes in, and increase the blood supply, just all hands on deck. And in some cases, it can wipe them out just, within the first 24, 48 hours. But in other cases, it might, if the immune system is not completely supplied, completely functional, then that first wave is not going to completely do the job.
And I like the way you said supplied. So the body might not have the nutrition levels for the immune response to be exacting the attack it needs to do.
Yeah. So then there are invaders that, now the second wave is called, and they do more specific things like, excuse me, like try to attach to the bacteria and inject things to split them up, or, just there are multiple ways that the immune system attacks a foreign invader.
It's an amazing process, because in that slide you had with the macrophage, I don't know if you can bring it up again, the interior, it showed like a digestion process going on inside of the macrophage, like literally eating, digesting it, breaking it down. And what I'm seeing with that is, we talk about fighting and so forth, but a micro level where a literal battle and fight is going on with a single cell organism, or a multiple cell organism that maybe just a smaller one, but it's still no different than maybe a clash between a deer and a lion out here. It's at the molecular level smaller, but still the same thing. I imagine almost like armies of ants that go to war against each other. Well, now you've got these two entities that are opposed to each other, and they go to fight. Amazing.
Well, yeah. And this,
am I right?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. So this is the thing, the story does not end here. There's even much more that goes on. For instance,
Are we looking at the macrophage here? What are we looking at?
We're looking at a phagocyte in general.
Okay.
But
and the phagocyte is one of the cells that are responsible for essentially eating foreign invaders.
Yes.
Okay.
But the macrophage can take these fragments of the cell, the microbe, the invader, and not only expel them, these residual materials will be expelled, but it could take some of these fragments and actually put it on its surface. And it will, so it has an imprint, or it has a piece of this microbe now on its surface. The microbe can't hurt it anymore, but it can present that microbe fragment to other cells, your B cells, that will make antibodies to that exact fragment of the microbe. So the next time, and so that will help clean up this time, but it takes time because you got to ramp up the whole machinery. But let's say that's a flu, or just let's say that's a flu virus. So the next time you're exposed to that same virus, that machinery is already there, and you ramp up a response very, very quickly, because your immune system can actually recognize the work that it's already done. It recognizes that it already has antibodies for this particular invader. It's amazing.
As you mentioned how the macrophage can take a piece of the killed invader and put that on its outer shell, it gave me the imagery of a warrior who takes takes like trophies from its kill, and it's like, okay, I killed that one, I hang that one around my neck, and I've got this many different trophies. It might like Predator is that they show that in the movie, where certain tribes will do that. They'll defeat other tribes, and then they'll wear like something from that tribe to say, okay, I defeated them. And Predator is known for taking what they call trophies from their kills and wearing it and putting on skulls and bones and teeth and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, I'm a savage, but like you said, it's being used as a calling card to other immune cells, so they can pick it up and know, okay, they take a copy of this. It's almost like if you're at a secured facility and there's a person of interest who is a suspicious character, their picture will be passed around to all the security guards. If you see this person, don't let them in. Or to the police, if we're looking for this person, if you see them, take them out. You've got the photograph of the suspect. you know. Um,
And we
so
have millions of colonies in our bodies just ready, like, you give me the signal, I'm gonna start manufacturing antibodies against that.
mhm,
So, and how does that happen? That happens from exposure. So when I was doing pediatrics, and new mothers would come to me for advice and stuff, and he did this and he licked that. And I was like, look, let him eat dirt, because that's how they get their exposure. That's how they get this immune system um, programmed to know what's an invader and what's not.
mhm,
And when the problem comes in, either when your immune system can't respond properly, or when different invaders can hide and escape the immune system. So that's another whole other topic.
sure. Maybe these last few minutes we could take some questions from our
Absolutely. Well,
audience. And I'm gonna put myself on mute just for 1 second.
all righty. Well, Juanita, I see your hand is up. So
There we go.
welcome to the call.
Can you hear me?
Yes, not too well, but we
Okay,
can.
I'm going to make adjustments. Um, so I got kicked off of this device, and I called Margie, and Margie couldn't get me to listen in through her phone. So I am determined to get back on, which I took me a while. But the key is, what happened was my capital letter, when I went in to put in the MS15HW, you have to put a capital S. And for some
Sure.
reason, my keyboard wouldn't let me do capital. So I Googled the question, what do I do? And it said hit Alt Control, Alt Delete Control at the same time. And then it brought me back to the regular keyboard. So I have a very important question to ask. That's why I was determined to get back on. Before I ask that important question, though, just a side note. As you guys know, I have 3 caregivers, and they help me a total of 44 hours a month. And the one who's, I call number one because she's my first one, Amy, she has 7 children, and 4 of them are being adopted. 3 are adopted. She's in the process of adopting the 4th, and then she has 3 girls. And she cannot come to work today because one of the children in daycare was tested positive, not one of her children, but one of the children at her daycare tested positive. So everybody has to stay home. This is all, what up. Um, and I've got backup. That isn't the point. The point is that this part of the country, little old Wenatchee, population 50,000, we have like one airplane that flies into Wenatchee. And they treat this whole fake pandemic, as Margie told me, there's another round coming. And I said, don't even confess that. You're just on board with everybody else, and I love you dearly, Margie. Um, but anyway, so they're closing the daycare, which means how many other children and parents have to stay home, not go to work. Um, she's a single mom. No one's going to compensate her for her hours lost. Hmm. Anyway, beautiful subject. Macro means big. Phage, Fash, PH is pronounced with an F, right, Dr. Lisa?
Correct.
Phage. I have my
Or
important
phage if you're fancy.
phage. I like that one better. So I've got a neighbor across the hall from me, right down that hall right there behind me. His name is David. And David migrated here from California a week and a half or so ago to live across my hall, the hall. He has plans to go to the Philippines in a couple days. What is, I tried Googling it, but are there regulations for people flying? Margie's talked to him in deep depth, several people have. He's concerned if he gets over there to visit a young lady that he may not get back. So I just kind of laid in bed today and I looked up international travel. And it says it's okay. There's certain parts of Asia. He's going to the Philippines, he thinks. Is it safe to travel? And are they going to let you back out of the country?
Well, I wouldn't be able to say that on this call because things change day by day. So there's no way I could give assurance of any country's restrictions or permissions.
Well, I read that
I just know what I would do to boost my immune system, to nourish and support my immune system before taking a trip to the grocery store versus as well as overseas. So
well, he said that when he lands there, he has to quarantine for 14 days.
Yeah, like I said, the rules, that's what the rules are today. They may change. We don't know. So I can't address that.
Well, that just didn't seem to me like a very good vacation. I mean, I encouraged him to like maybe get more information. I'll remind him to boost his immune system. And just the fact that, they don't even know if they can, if you need a passport, if you need, I said, why don't you bring her here? And he said, it's too hard. And I said, but so you're going to go the easy route, doing the easy route.
Well, people make, that's the beauty of America. I hope that people are free to make their own decisions, but we can't, I can't comment on international travel
I thought Mr. Hope
conditions or policies.
He knows a lot of international people.
So we had another hand. Now, I don't know if you put your hand down, Vernita, but I'd like to see what Vernita wants to bring to the call. So can we?
Unmute myself.
Unmute? There you go.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I have it clear in my mind about the macrophage. It's the big eater of the immune system. Or is it all over? I mean, I guess it was immune system. Yeah. Part of the immune system is the macrophage, the big eater.
I like the way you say that.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And the other thing is and when I saw it, I just saw the chemotaxi, like I know it's taxes, and it brings bad or, I'll say bad microbes to the phagocytes.
It is a phagocyte.
It is. Oh, okay, wrong.
That's why it's the big eater, because it's gobbling things.
No. The chemotaxi is?
No, the macrophage is a phagocyte.
Is a phagocyte.
The chemotaxis are chemicals that multiple cells release when either those cells are damaged. So let's say the first bacterial invaders actually killed one of the cells. Those cells would be damaged. And when those cells split apart from being damaged by the bacteria or the virus, they release chemicals that send out the signal, I'm in danger, I'm, or they got me, I'm dead. There's a problem here. Come and take care of this problem. And so, you know, that verse, I don't know the numbers. One will chase 100.
Yeah.
One will call 100.
Okay.
And two will call 10,000 or, 10,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
All
one
right.
of the
So
reasons. That's
it
one of the
is.
things I'm going to show on Saturday is how that positive cascade develops.
One will put to flight, what, 100?
One will put 1,000 to flight. Two will put 10,000 to flight.
There you go.
Right. Now that's what the taxes job is.
So they sense a macrophage that's in your elbow, in your right elbow, can sense that that a cell in your left armpit was damaged, and it will come there. It will travel through the blood and escape the blood and travel through the tissue to get to where the invader is. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, we're fearfully and wonderfully made, that's for sure. Oh, and I was going to say, I love our Kangen nerd radio. Never, ever really dull. Thank you.
I love
We're
it.
all nerds on here.
I love it. And I always forget. Okay, there are two things that I forgot. And let me see if he's on here. Yep. So one person that's on here right now has more macrophage activity than anybody else on this call. And that is Dale Gibson, because, and I'm saying this and I'm asking for prayer for his healing. He fell a couple of nights ago and broke his leg. So as you all know, since we know how bones heal, he's in the phase where his immune system is gobbling up the little fragments of bone and starting to lay down or making the blood clot, because the blood had to be contained. So his blood is clotting, his immune system is gobbling up the little fragments of bone, and he is there's a strange number in the waiting room, and he's feeling his immune system at work, which means he's under a great deal of pain. So everyone, please pray for Dale's healing. And I mean, there's good news. He may not need surgery, but we're standing by to see what's going on. But I just thought it was so amazing that we just covered this topic of how bones heal. And there he is.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa.
So live from his hospital bed in Evansville, Indiana. Am I right? Yeah,
right.
There you go. How are you feeling, Dale?
Well, as long as I'm lying still, I'm feeling like a pain level of 5. But once they try to move my leg, it zings up to a 10 level so fast.
Oh boy.
It's such pain.
Yeah. Well, we're praying. We're praying for you.
Thank you. I know you are.
All righty. What was the other thing? Did I say I was forgetting 2 things? I said I forgot 2 things. I forgot the other thing. But I got the important thing. That was Dale. Oh, I know. The other thing was for Mr. Hope, right? Our new definition of what hope means: help one person every day. So we got the hope on this call.
Well, amen.
Amen. All righty. So Juanita's got her hand up again. So there.
Okay, I'm back. Dale, you look great. And as you said, Dr. Lisa, why don't we just do a little prayer for him right now? So, Heavenly Father, I lift to you our Dale, our brother Dale, back east, God. I thank you for his life. I thank you for surrounding him with healing hands and positive hearts. Thank you for his wife Janet being at his side, and for these days ahead for those blood cells and bones and all the descriptive things that Dr. Lisa so beautifully described. To me, it all looked like Chinese, but the way she reads it, please read those comments, Dr. Lisa. So thank you again, Father, for bringing Dale on home, that his body was prepared for this, and that he's eating properly, and that they're surrounding him with very good food and water. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
But I wanted you to read the comments, because when I shut down, did you see the comments I wrote?
No. I see. What a great topic. Remind me to ask about international travel.
Okay.
And you did. I
And
don't
then
see
I
any
was
further comments.
complimenting you on the way you were reading that article.
Oh, thank you.
And again, okay, hope means help one person every day. You know, I was watching a silly show, home makeovers kind of thing, and they were honoring people that have served, or one firefighter back in Kansas City. In fact, I looked him up, and I'm going to call the fire department today and find this gentleman. He's a single father with 3 children, and he adopted 2 of his youngest son's friends when the mom passed. So he has 5 children, working 3 jobs, and their home was neglected, I'll put it that way. And so they come in and they tear down the house. They completely bulldoze it, and in 7 days they rebuild a home. And they rebuilt this. They had 3 bedrooms, and now they have 7, 6 with the one for dad. And the firefighters came in and they built him. It was a ladder, and on each rung of the ladder were the descriptive words that his children say about him. So he's loving, he's tender, he's inspiring, you know, um, and then at the top of this ladder, it had a big torch, like the Olympic torches, and they lit it after they showed him the whole house, and the kids each have their rooms, and they took him outside to where the pool was, and they lit that torch. And he said, Joseph said, no, Stephen Johnson is his name. He said, out of all the beautiful home, 4 times the size of what he had, he stated that his favorite was that torch, because that ladder, because of the heart that it represented. And they had the whole community, Kansas City, Missouri, and they had like all the firefighters and policemen, and it was just this huge production. So when you say hope, the second was about a woman who 6-year-old child was abducted in Alma, wherever that is. And she was at like a baseball game. 50 yards away was her child. She could hear her child. She could see her child. And within a matter of seconds, someone took this little girl 10 years ago. So she started a foundation, which I want to do. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but and for the last 10 years, she's been reaching out to the community and across the world to help families that have lost a child like this. So, we've got a lot in our world to pray for. And as we get told we can't do this, we can't do that, and we bow down to Pharaoh, it's going to end up the same way it did in the Bible. Like, Bernita always tells us, there's nothing new under the sun. And I love those verses I wrote down on mine. The life of the flesh is in the blood. So Dale, as your body heals, your blood is so healthy, and that's what I picture. I just picture those little blood cells dancing around, and those bones coming together, and you know, like when my wrist got broken by that dog, when it healed, they said it was like a solder. It's stronger right now than it was before. So Dale, your leg, you said your right leg, I don't know if it's your knee, your hip, your whatever, it doesn't matter. Um, but you'll be all healed up and you'll be on, I don't know, do you and Janet like to dance? I'll
They
send
like
you
to
down
travel, I'll tell you that.
So God bless
Amen.
you.
Amen. Amen.
Anita, I thank you for the prayers, but I don't know what's wrong with the audio, but I'm not even hearing half of what you say. The audio has got a serious problem.
Yeah,
It's a roar in the background.
it's our air conditioner or machine running or something, and it does affect our understanding of what she says. So, but she loves you, and she said a great prayer for you, as we all do. So I can't. I'm so thankful you joined us today.
Well,
Real trooper.
They're supposed to come in here anytime and try to get me up again. They didn't get around to giving me pain meds till almost an hour ago. Somebody slipped up this morning. But when they
We got to pray for those people. Your helpers, your doctors and nurses, praying for them as well.
when they tried to get me up yesterday, I just couldn't handle it. So we see what happens today.
All right.
All right.
Well, Mr. Hope, any final words?
Drink Kangen water, it's good for you. Stay healthy, eat well. We'll try to help you along the way. All the best to everyone. Kangen Water Nation.
So, thank you for joining us today. And we invite you back for more on the macrophage or macrophage. I like to say it, very fancy. So the replay for this call will be on YouTube a little bit later. Search Kangen Water Radio and you'll see all the resources to the articles in the description box. Oops. Any calls, any questions, you can call or text area code 866-526-4368. That's US toll free, 866-526-4368. Or you can email us at kwnation7@gmail.com. That's kwnation, the number 7 @gmail.com. We'll be here on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we will welcome all of you. All righty. Thank you for joining us today. And we love you all. Mwah. Bye-bye.